got it going on. What? You got it going on. What? I used to be scared of the dick. Now I throw lips to the shit. Handle it like a real bitch. Heather Hunter, Janet Jack me, take it in the bud. Yeah, it's what? I got land in Switzerland. Even got sand in the Marylands. Bahamas in the spring. Baby, it's a big mama thing. Can't tell by the diamonds in my rings. You know that song, girl? You know
I heard the part where it's like, I'm not scared of the dick. I heard that part. But,
yeah.
Is it, is it Lil' Kim?
Yes, Lil' Kim, Big Mama
I'm just
thing.
assuming, talking about dick, it's probably Lil' Kim.
Yeah, 1996 tease from that hardcore album. Yes, girl. Taking us back.
Is this the occasion? Is this like your way of like, for Nicki's pregnancy? You're kind of giving Lil' Kim a little love on her.
Oh, I'm a Lil' Kim girl. Hard. Me and Miss Nicki, I've had a love-hate relationship with her. Like, I'm a Cash Doll girl because I'm from Detroit, and she's actually close to my family, believe it or not. But
Ice me out.
Ice me out. Okay. She's got her last album was kind of cute too. From last year, her last album was kind of cute.
Oh,
but
I love that one that's like what's it called? Oh, you played it for me. Doing too much.
Oh, yeah. That's the
you
cute.
like Cash. Bitch, you doing too much.
I'm like, shut up, ho. You ain't doing enough. Oh, you fucking mad? That's too fucking bad? Since you fucking asked? I like doing too much, okay? Yeah, but no, Lil' Kim, I've always been a Lil' Kim girl. So me and Nicki go back and forth, but Nicki dogged my girl Cash Doll out. So, and she's dogged out Cardi B. Like, Nicki can't get along with any other female rappers for the most part, right? With a few exceptions. So.
Only one she can get along with is her sex offender husband, allegedly.
Allegedly. Actually, I don't think that shit is alleged, bitch. I think he went to prison.
I guess if you go to jail, it's not alleged anymore.
It's not alleged anymore, right?
But welcome back to Two Safe Queens. I'm your host, Miss Malachi. I'm back in the hostess seat. You kept it warm, girl.
I tried, girl, with my fat ass, bitch.
How are we, Miss Devereaux? How you doing, sis?
I am doing great, girl. I am doing great. I'm actually, you know what? But I'm becoming a little bit like those white protesters back in March and April, girl.
Oh, yeah? How so?
Yeah, I really want me a haircut, girl. I'm not even gonna lie. I want me a haircut. So the last haircut I had was on February 11th.
Okay, exact date. What time?
Okay.
11:05.
Probably around that, actually. But no, I'm on some Black Panther, Huey P. Newton type tees, which is cute, which would be cute if my hairline would cooperate, girl.
Right.
That hairline, she's struggling with this fro. She's used to having a lower haircut. So, girl, me and my barber, we're cool. I usually go, I don't like to be around a whole lot of black trade at the same time. So,
and this is your barber who we kind of mentioned last episode, who's just a little hotel, like not too hotel, yes. But just a smidge.
Just a smidge. So I usually go to his house though to get my hair cut. I don't usually go and set up a trade in the barbershop. I don't like niggas like that. I don't like hetero black men like that.
Those aren't the type that we stand. Those aren't the type.
No, I don't like barbershop tees. And so I got my last haircut on February 11th, and I usually go about every 4 to 5 weeks, usually 4 weeks. So it was like right around the time we were going into quarantine, it was time for me to get a haircut, but everything was like scary in March the 10th.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
And that's you was on that London let me get back home tease. And,
get her the fuck home.
And my barber, he's married to an essential worker, so I'm like, oh girl, I'm not going over there to get no haircut on no COVID tease. He actually got COVID-like symptoms around that time too.
Interesting.
And so, yes, that was scary. So then we went into quarantine for some months, and the hair, she just grew out and grew out and grew out, and then. So finally June, the barbers opened back up. My barber's actually cutting hair at his house in the backyard. So we're outside, so it's safer with mask on and all this type of tea.
Got that fresh air blowing away.
And my brother went to go get the haircut. So I was like, okay, cool. It's like, I can go get mine too. And so next thing I know, girl, this nigga, he's texting me like, man, call me. Man, I can't believe what happened to me. I'm like, okay, Trade, what happened, Trade? And so, girl, don't you know that he was charged with pulling a weapon on somebody, girl. Allegedly. And
Allegedly.
Allegedly, and that nigga did 3 days in jail and caught some felony charges. So I'm like, okay.
Wait, what happened?
Girl, I shouldn't talk about it. He got a court case pending,
all right.
girl.
It's still pending.
It's still pending, but I will say this. He just did 3 days in jail, and nigga, that 14 days starts all over again. I can't get no motherfucking haircut. God damn. Can I get a haircut?
I love that, that's what you're worried about. Not another black man going into the
no, bitch.
System.
I'm worried about my motherfucking
I'm worried about my fade.
So that 14 days started over for me. I was about to go over there, and I was like, oh no, let me count 14 days from the day he got out of jail. And then a bitch called me and was like, oh no, bitch, you should do 21 days. You don't know that residual COVID tease from jail.
Yeah.
And so it just kept adding up and adding up. And then I look up, I'm like, okay, this 21 days is coming up. Then he took a picture on Instagram with all these young niggas in the picture, like 20 something on some asymptomatic carrier type tease. like he's deep in his 40s, and like, why do you got all these young niggas in your picture who are like, 24, 20?
The children are the future, honey.
Girl, they're also some asymptomatic carriers though. Like, okay, so I was like, okay, that we're gonna be wearing masks. Let me not freak out about all those men in his picture. Like, and then motherfucker gets into a car accident. Same nigga, right? The same barber.
Your poor barber.
He gets to a car accident in a truck that he doesn't even own. It's not even his car.
That's
and then I look. He posts pictures of the car accident on Instagram too, right?
And
it's a bunch of people inside this truck that are not in his family. Like, I don't know them. These aren't people from his household. So I
imagine
don't know
you are really looking at his circle of like people he interacts with, like following his Instagram. Like, that's not family.
Oh, girl, yeah, I'm definitely, like, peeping all of that shit. And I'm like, girl, I don't know what to do because I've been resisting, but my shit is looking rough. And I may just have to, learn how to cut this shit on my own or something. I don't know what to do.
So you don't have a backup barber?
I have not gone to another barber since 2009. He's been my barber for 11 years. So I'm like...
Oh, that's like me and my mechanic. That's a relationship. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, you can't just... Wow.
But my brother cheats on him all the time and goes to this other fancy barbershop. And that where they're like having like real like, parameters and like
plastic shields and like plastic,
all that type of tea. But it's like $45 for a haircut. But my brother was like, I go there sometimes. You should go there. I
mean, how much is your barber?
Oh, that's some other tea. I don't really pay for my haircuts either.
What?
I don't pay for my haircuts, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
No.
I mean, you were calling him trade, girl.
Yeah, well, all niggas are trade to me, girl. I mean, all men are trade to me. It just takes the right bitch. It just takes the right queen. Like, all men are trade. So
you're not gonna say why you don't pay?
No, it was just I've done him a lot of tea. I've done him a lot of favors.
He owes you.
Not those kind of favors.
Not sexually. I got it.
But I've done him a lot of favors. That's all I say.
All right. I got it. Okay.
Exactly. So, girl, yeah.
So what's the plan right now, girl? Is it just...
Well, I got this Shea Moisture leave-in conditioner in the meantime to get this shit together.
So you're just going to keep her growing. You're just going to... I mean, you're not showing her... I mean, you are on camera sometimes. Like
I am on the Zoom and all that shit. Girl, it's a struggle. I'm thinking about it. I may go to that fancy barbershop with
I would say
$45
do it, girl. I mean... Sometimes, you got to do what you got to do out here to get that good cut. So.
And they're taking all the safety precautions. I think I'm going to go there, girl. I'm going to go there.
I think that's the way. If y'all have some advice for Miss Devereaux about what she should do, feel free to write
email a hoe. Call a hoe. Email a hoe.
Call her. Email her and ask them at TuesdayQueens.com.
Girl, because this is looking rough. I'm telling you.
Ugh. And we'll pray for it. We'll pray for
me, girl. Pray for me.
On that note, outside of the continued worries about your barber and his dealings with Miss Rona, everyone's having to worry about Miss Rona. So let's get into, we got quite a bit of news on the docket today. Let's get into our good news and bad news. We got to start with the bad news, which is Miss Rona is awful. She's we've recently passed 140,000 deaths, close to 4 million diagnosed cases. I think I had mentioned that, this has been more than any other war, but I think the Civil War probably not, because, we were both technically Americans on each side fighting there.
Girl, those were traitors. Those were traitors, girls.
That's
Don't
fair,
call them Americans.
fair.
Fuck those hoes. Fuck them.
Fair.
Okay.
I mean, because we still fight in the Confederacy today, depending on
we
how you look at it. I think because we're in this moment, there are some real changes that are happening, especially with Miss DJT. Like, she literally got me gasping. Like, she recently tweeted out a picture with her wearing a mask. I don't remember what the text said, but I mean, just that is like, girl. And then
I think it was like, some say it's patriotic to wear a mask, so I'm wearing a mask. It was like that type of tea.
She loves referring to some people. I heard like just someone else. Like who say
bitch?
Their names.
Yeah.
She also, we're recording this on Tuesday, and she recently had a press conference today where it took me back. She talked about whether you like it or not, that people should wear a mask. And of course, like for most of this press conference, she was reading. So obviously, I don't know how much of this is like her heart or whatever's left of her mind. But she seemed like she was kind of taking some of this a little serious. I think, they recently talked about how they're going to be doing more of the kind of daily conferences, which I think it also will help her polling numbers. So I'm hoping that not all the cable networks will run it. But what do you think about this, girl?
Well, CNN ran it today, girl. They ran the conference today.
And I feel like it's the first one, so I'll give you that. But I don't want to see that man, because she's gonna start going off script. She can't stay
yeah. And that works to our advantage when she goes off script. Actually, that's where she fucks up and talks about injecting
I'm
bleach.
mixed on that. I think some of that, yeah, when she talks about the bleach stuff, but some
she's
of those
gonna
girls,
mess up.
Yeah, you're right.
She's gonna fuck up. That's what she does. But it was interesting because there was no Dr. Fauci, there was no Dr. Birx.
Yes, they asked him about. They asked Dr. Fauci if he was gonna be there. He's like, "Well, no one's told me, so I guess not."
Yeah. So I'm actually, and girl, guess who she mentioned in the press conference? Did you watch it, girl? Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did, but I can't think of.
Girl, she said a reporter asked her about just Ghislaine Maxwell, the associate of Jeffrey Epstein, and Miss DJT said, "Oh, I wish her well. I wish Miss Ghislaine Maxwell, the the alleged sex trafficker
who supposedly was helping
enabler.
Epstein, get the young girls."
He said he had met her many times, and he wished her well, girl. Don't you think? I mean, I'm sure his political operatives were like kind of scrambling over that. They were like, why would this bitch like have an unforced error like that? Like,
after Fox News goes through all the trouble of cutting you out of photos with her.
Yeah. So he's gonna just acknowledge her and wish her well like that, and she's like basically trafficked in allegedly.
But they'll find a way. They'll find a way of being like, well, I've been in New York for so many years. I saw we did run each other's circles, but they'll find some way of talking out of it. So I feel like whatever.
I mean, he does have like 20 pictures with that bitch. He's got like a bunch of pictures with her.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's some tea.
But I mean, this kind of like the potential good news, depending on, the vaccine's coming. The vaccine study, recently Oxford had a vaccine study that they're doing with AstraZeneca, which is a huge pharmaceutical company. They're starting to test on humans, and they've had really promising results. So they've already gone through 2 phases of testing. And it looks like it's been producing like a good response from the participants in terms of kind of neutralizing the coronavirus in people's bodies. So he's already been kind of shopping out that like, this vaccine is coming. Of course, I'm sure he would love it to come by election time so he can be the great white savior that most white people already think he is. I shouldn't say most. Some white people already think he is.
It was 49% the other day of like how many whites are going to vote for him as of today.
I thought his polling numbers were going down, though.
It was 49% of white people, I would say.
Duh.
And 42% of white people are going to vote for Biden, 49% of white. So he definitely had a major plurality of white people, like almost close to that 50% plus. So white people are still standing for him. They still are.
Lord. Okay. We got to focus. But so what do you think about the vaccine, girl? I mean, would you take that first round? I'm not going to lie to you, girl. I might have to let's because he's rushing this out, sis. He's like, all right, we got the vaccine. I'm like, let y'all take it. Let me see how y'all do for like a couple weeks. Like, I'll find an excuse. I'll kill a family member. I'm not going back to work till I...
Well, let me say this much, okay? So I think, like, okay, there's really 3 vaccines I've been hearing about regularly. The one is the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine out of the UK. So that's out of the UK, right? The Moderna one here in the US. And then there's a Chinese vaccine, which I definitely will not be taking. I will not be taking no Chinese vaccine. Fuck those girls. Well, fuck China at least, not fuck the Chinese.
I mean, technically, she would know probably the best of how to deal with it, but...
She would...
I didn't call her the Chinese virus like Trump did at her briefing today, but I mean, it did come from China. That's all I'm saying.
It did, but those girls don't. They bypass. You know, in China, they're gonna bypass so many safety things. Like they are not up and up generally on like safety type T, and they just gave it to their like military as like guinea pigs in China. Yeah, I think Russia's done the same thing for the vaccine stuff that they stole from like AstraZeneca and Moderna and the U.S. companies. I think they've like basically reproduced it and given it, so I've heard, allegedly to their military.
Allegedly.
But yeah, so this AstraZeneca vaccine though, they said it could come out as early as September, girl. That's what they're saying.
Right.
Now I don't
so
think
would you take that first round?
I don't think we'd be eligible for the first round because I think they're going to give it. I think they're going to give to first responders,
or not for like people on the front lines,
and then maybe to the elderly. Girl, they'll use the elderly as the guinea pigs and take those girls out and get them off Social Security type.
AKA, we still not going back to work till probably 2021.
Yeah. So, girl, you let the old girls, let the first responders take it first because that's who's going to be eligible, and we're not. I mean, that's okay. I'm okay with waiting for that second round. I'm okay. Yeah, I am. I don't know. Yeah, but I won't be taking that Chinese vaccine. So it's either the UK one or the US one, or maybe.
And in some ways, I kind of lean a bit more toward. Right, this feels a little traitorous myself. Lean a bit more toward the UK one because that US one. Trump is probably breathing down their necks to be like, that shit better come out in September. I don't give a fuck.
yeah.
I lean, come out in September.
Yeah, I lean toward that UK one for that reason too. I mean, Miss Boris might be on there. Miss Boris Johnson, the prime minister over there. She's a Trumpian type girl sometimes.
She's not. Well, I think it's partly because the Brits. No Brit could truly be like a Trump. Like no Brit could, because they're so self-deprecating and like so even Boris, she's even kind of known for being a bit buffoonish, which I think is a difference between her and Trump because Miss DJT is a bit more. I hate to say it, she's got a little bit more savviness or a little bit more like she knows what she's doing. Well, I think Miss Boris, like one of my a British girl I know was sending me stuff about how Miss Boris was missing like 4 or 5 meetings about this shit because she just wasn't taking it seriously and was worried about her affair with or trying to get out of his divorce and get married to this new woman who had an affair with. So she's
he knocked that next bitch up, didn't he?
That's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
She had a baby by him while he was like dealing with Corona type teas. I think. Yeah, girl. So did he skip those meetings before or after he had Corona?
Oh, this was before. This was like beginning of the year. Like he's missed at least 3 or 4 of those briefings when they were like, we might need to be watching this. He would just not go to them. And it's like, well, if the prime minister, aka their president essentially, doesn't go, why the fuck are the rest of the government going to take it seriously? So.
Well, she was almost on her last leg for a minute. So, she had to learn the hard way. Some girls are like that.
Yeah, if only Miss DJT would face that. But, God works in mysterious ways.
God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, we sure do, girl.
Now, speaking of where we might truly need some divine intervention, girl, what's happening in Miss Portland, honey?
Well, Miss Portland, girl, so that is some tea. Some unidentified federal officers have been deployed by President DJT, and they were captured on video spraying tear gas and using batons against protesters there in Oregon.
Oh, they were doing that. I thought that was just the office or some of the I didn't know. I thought they were just doing the abductions. They were actually attacking the protesters as well.
Oh, yeah, girl. Yeah, more than those abductions. And so the unrest in the city has gained national attention as local elected officials and congressional members have demanded the exit of federal officers who have been captured on video making aggressive arrests and throwing protesters into unmarked vans. So that's some scary shit right there.
Like full Gestapo. Wait, am I saying it right? Gestapo?
Full Gestapo, yeah.
Yeah,
full Gestapo.
Like, AKA, like, bitch, they putting a black hood on your head, throwing you in an unmarked car, taking you somewhere you don't know. They ain't read you no rights. You can't, like that is completely, suspension of habeas corpus, which is basically, oh God, what is habeas corpus?
Habeas corpus
related to like
is
the
like
officer, like when they read your rights and like.
Well, that's Miranda rights when you have to read your
Miranda.
rights. But the writ of habeas corpus says that the government entities, they have to have a reason to arrest you.
Right.
So when they suspend the writ of habeas corpus, they no longer need a reason to arrest you, and that's when it's only been suspended one time in American history, and that was by Lincoln during the Civil War.
AKA when she need to go in on those Confederate girls.
Yeah. So I remember my AP US history teacher, you know how Lincoln is universally heralded as like the greatest president in American history? And my US history teacher, my AP US history teacher used to say, oh, but Lincoln suspended the writ of habeas corpus. It was the most dangerous thing ever. And I was like, okay, girl, like she still... she still like freed the slaves, girl, even despite all her personal issues. Like, anyway, though, but that was my girl, my AP US history teacher. But anyway, there was, speaking of unmarked federal vans, though, girl, I have a little deviation, girl.
Oh,
way back.
Okay, you know what we got to get done today, but okay, go ahead.
Okay, I know let's see what the time is. Okay, quickly. Like summer 2006, New York City, interning while in college, girl. I was walking down the street drunk after leaving a club. I left my friend there because he wanted to stay there. It was already like 3:30, 4 a.m. And, the clubs were closing at 5 a.m. The Roxy, when she was open in New York. I'm dating myself. Yeah. Yeah, so you been to the Roxy, girl?
I think I have been to the Roxy. I've been in New York a couple of times.
She's been gone for a few years now. But she, so anyway, I left her there. She was high or drunk on something. I was drunk, walking down the street on the far, west side of Manhattan. And I was just walking down the street drunk, and this white van pulls up beside me, this fine-ass black man, like one of the finest men I've ever seen in my life. He says, where are you going? Do you need a ride? And he's in this unmarked white van, bitch. And I'm like, I went and looked back at the license plate, and it had a federal government license plate on it.
Ooh, bitch.
And I was like,
federal trade.
I was like, oh, well, no, I'm just walking to the subway to go back home. And, this is like near Times Square Tees, like. And he was like, oh, well, let me give you a ride to the subway stop. So I was like, oh, okay. Like a dumb drunk bitch.
You got in there?
I got in there. 21 girl at the time. So anyway.
Oh, those were the times.
Girl, that nigga was so fine. We started making out. We started making out, and he...
That van had a lot of room, didn't it?
It had a lot of room, but we didn't do any tea like that. I was still saved back then, girl. More saved than I am now. But girl, he was a jag. He was a military lawyer, bitch.
Ooh. Did he have a ring, girl? Was he rural trade, or was he just somewhat trade?
No, he was actually a butch queen, believe it or not. Oh, okay. He was a trade-ish butch queen. It's fine. Chocolate, dark-skinned man. Ooh, he's so fine. Black Cuban descent, but like really chocolatey. Really dark skin. He was beautiful, and he was the most beautiful. But he was really conceited. He was like, "I look so good, I should be on billboards."
How did that even come up? Did y'all pass a billboard, and he was like,
I don't even. He just used to brag about himself all the time. Anyway, I gave him a fake address, so he didn't know where I lived, and he was trying to get into my house because I was saved or whatever. He was trying to get my house to do things I didn't want to do, girl. So I just blocked his number way back then. Anyway, going back to this white van now. Okay. So, going back to this white van, there was one video of the unidentified federal agents arresting a protester, taking her into an unmarked van, and then telling the other protesters around her that the agents will shoot them if they follow the unmarked government van.
Yes, I do remember.
What type of bullshit is... that is fucking Gestapo, SS, Nazi type tease. This is crazy. So on Saturday, a group of women wearing bike helmets formed what they called a wall of moms and chanted phrases such as Feds stay clear and moms are here and leave our kids alone. But unfortunately, organizer Bev Barnum told BuzzFeed News that federal officers unleashed tear gas on them that night. So,
but still, they didn't give up. Apparently it started with a couple, or I don't know if it started, but it started a small amount, but it's been growing to the point of they're coordinating, and they've been continuing to go out there, and it's been there's more and more of them. So they're even with the what they faced, they still went back out there. So that's nice to see.
They went out the
Portland,
next day.
She's a white city. So.
She's a white city, girl. She is. But they went out there the next day. So the president has called these mostly peaceful protesters in Portland anarchists and agitators in a tweet yesterday. And Miss DJT has also commended the officers for doing a fantastic job. suggesting that she may send additional federal officers to major cities such as New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit, my hometown, Baltimore, and Oakland. Now, I would love to see those feds go to the south side and the west side of Chicago, girl, and see what those girls do over there. Because those girls are not having it.
That's not going to end well.
It won't. Those Chicago girls are on some, like, Mexican and Central American cartel type tea. Like, they will take those Fed girls out.
But even
I don't know, girl. They're playing with fire. Miss DJT is playing with fire, girl.
But even with Philly, I was reading about how the district. Oh God, am I doing this right? District attorney? Yeah, I think the Philly was kind of saying, like, talking about how, like, my family's been fighting fascists for years. I'm not about to let them come to my city. Like, if any of y'all come here, like, you will get arrested and you'll face a Philadelphia jury. And I'm like, that's the energy. Like, that's what I want. Like, and he's a white dude. Like, they're not about to, like, just. I feel like he's playing with fire doing it this way.
Well, that's a very progressive district attorney who was just elected in Philadelphia. I know that's a white dude, but he's very progressive. What his name is. But actually, I don't think that those federal officers I don't know to what degree they can be charged in local courts. That's something that, because the federal has, like, the highest level of jurisdiction.
I mean, honestly, we'll have to see. If you're not, how do I know you're technically a federal officer? Because you're not wearing no type of identification. So I'm going to just treat you like a dude just attacking people.
Yeah, just like a nigga on the
real
street,
talk.
right?
How do I know you're a federal officer?
Well, so Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York and Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton of D.C. are introducing a bill in the House that would require these federal agents to both identify the agency they're with and their last names and ID numbers. So they're introducing that sometime this week.
But my thing is, like, we already have police officers who don't do shit. Like what is, I appreciate the bill, but is that really going to do something if, like...
Well, I mean, girl, we don't even know where these motherfuckers are from. Like, we don't know if they're mercenaries. We don't know if they're, like, white supremacist militias. Like, we don't really know what type of federal agents. Because I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, some of what I saw, and I can't think of, and I'm messing up the name of the agency. So there's an agency... There's a part of, like, federal officers that protect federal buildings, institutions, right? So basically, like, if you go to a federal building, there are officers that are guarding it, and those aren't normal police officers; those are, like, federal officers. So apparently, where this is maybe coming, they're kind of pulling this from, is they're kind of looping in a mixture of, like, ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, and these officers, and they're all kind of answering under DHS, the Department for Homeland Security, and they're kind of using this idea of, like, well, they're protecting, like, federal buildings and federal institutions and using them in that way and kind of letting them kind of overstep. So again, it could still be, I mean, because
I wonder if that's the U.S. Marshals. I wonder if that's the U.S. Marshal Service.
Let me get what their name is. Federal.
Girl, we need to know where they're from, though, because these could be just...
Federal Protective Service. Yeah,
okay.
That's the name.
Okay,
yeah.
I've seen
It's the Uniform Security Police Division of the United States Department of Homeland Security. So I've heard people talking about, like, that's kind of what the legalese that they're using to justify these people. But it's still, like, they're not... That's what I think it is, but it could still technically be mercenaries. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, because, Betsy DeVos, her brother Eric Prince, he runs, like, a defense contractor and a mercenary service. And I was like, did Bill Barr and Chad Wolf, the acting Homeland Secretary, did they contract with Eric Prince to get some, like, on some mercenary tea, like, from Eric Prince? Or did they hire those local white supremacist militias in Oregon that are pretty common there? Like, what did they, like, who are these bitches who are... kidnapping people and putting them in vans? Like, this is some bullshit. Like,
and thankfully, like, some of the people who were kidnapped were then released. Or they were taken to, this is why I'm pretty sure they're federal people, potentially, or employed by, because they were taken to, like, federal buildings to be interrogated. And then thankfully some of them were released. But still, when they were there, they talked about how they were never read their rights or anything like that. And they were basically just trying to pressure them and threaten them. So it's scary. It's something to watch. And I mean, Trump, I don't know if it was today's briefing. He probably did reiterate it, but he's talked about, no, it wasn't even Trump. It was the, I think the acting
Homeland Security Secretary.
Yeah, he was talking about, like, because Trump had mentioned those cities, but he was talking about, we'll do this nationwide. And like that, at that point,
Ooh, girl.
like y'all, and that's why my thing is like, y'all talking about voting, girl, we might not make it to November. Like, what are y'all, like, this is something to really watch. So
girl, that, because
yeah,
I mean,
I
people,
don't know what's right.
Miss Philadelphia, Miss Detroit, Miss Chicago, she's not going to just let the feds be on her streets like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because like, okay, y'all tried it with Portland. And I even kind of think about the response of like Portland mayor people. I'm like, y'all, I don't want to see no response. I want y'all out in the streets protecting your fucking citizens from these people. Don't send me no responses. But I feel like y'all gonna really be playing with some of these cities that are more black and more Latinx, more brown. Like the girls are like, oh, we doing this? Like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Like I feel like, you know, Miss Deborah been warning, telling y'all it's time to strap up. Like. It might really be time.
It might be. I could see Miss Chicago in particular. I could see like the gangs, like the black gangs, the Latin gangs, all the different gangs in the cartel. Like I could see them literally banding together and taking and getting rid of the feds in their city. Like they are not going to play about that shit. Yeah. I couldn't see them. Like I just can't see those girls in Chicago and here in Detroit to some degree. They got they have heavy artillery. Like they are nothing to play with.
They be using that Second Amendment. So
yeah, well, a lot of that shit those are illegal guns. A lot of those guns. So I mean, it's kind of the Second Amendment. I don't know, bro.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, this next story, which I'll take, is I'm gonna just say it's sad news, especially for any of y'all who are fans of Mr. Ye. This is all about Kanye and his complete. Oh, that girl is Well, let me just say what happened. So, as we talked about, I think 2 shows ago, I think when Cameron was on, we talked about how Kanye announced that he was going to run for president. He's continued to not really do anything with that, although until recently, where he paid, I think, $35,000 or something like that to get on the ballot in South Carolina. But then you also then need a certain amount of petitions. I think like, is it 10,000 or... I don't remember how many exactly, but you need a certain amount of petitions to then be validated.
Or signatures on a petition.
Signatures,
right?
sorry.
Yeah.
AKA like supporters. And basically this weekend on Sunday, he had a conference or had like a kind of rally in Charleston, South Carolina, where he basically, it was a mixture of rally, press conference. He had some speakers, which it was nice that he put some black women before him to kind of talk about their experiences. And there was some stuff in there that like I could see it, but it just became a mess. Like this is where I'm sure most of y'all know, he talked about how Miss Harriet Tubman, the famed abolitionist, who's recently played by Cynthia Erivo, she never actually freed the slaves. She just had them work for other white people. He went on to talk about, you know, he's done deals with like Adidas and talks about how he needs to be on their board. He's not going to work with them anymore. He went into this whole thing. Like, this is when it really gets, and I watched it. I don't know if you watched it, girl. I'm curious after I finish.
Yes, I did.
It gets rough where he was talking about how, and this is when this is the moment when he cried. And of course, a lot of media put it on his front page where he talked about how he would have been aborted, but his mom saved him. And then that's when he cried. And then he went on to talk about how he almost wanted to abort his own daughter and then decided against it. It was a lot. And it just, from the way he was talking, from just the energy he was giving, talked about you can't trust pharmaceutical companies, saying that, you know, both saying that like, oh, we need to stop killing ourselves at gas stations, but then also saying like, oh, you know, shooting guns is fun, and how he opposed gun control. It was an episode. Like, let's just be honest. It felt like a manic episode. But, and of course, this was recently followed, I think it was, if not that same evening, by tweets that were then deleted about how Kim Kardashian, who's his wife, and oh my God, what's her name?
Kris Jenner, his mother-in-law.
Kris Jenner have been trying to like, you know, get him help and trying to take him away and lock him up, and he won't let them do it. Just all types of stuff. So I don't know. I almost didn't know if we even wanted to talk about it, but it's just become such a complete, it's like a Britney Spears moment, but even kind of worse because it's also political because and by the way, he did not make it on the ballot. It's not even that I bet he could have gotten some signatures. He never even submitted them. Like, that's the part where you realize, like, oh, this is, like, what the fuck are you talking about, Chance the Rapper, when you're saying, oh, we should give Kanye a chance? Like, this man is clearly going through it right now. He needs support. He needs help. He doesn't need enabling.
I know that Queen Chance the rapper probably regrets some of those tweets. I think she.
Ooh, yes.
I think that.
But then or maybe not, because I just saw today that Dave Chappelle was just hanging out with him, who is problematic for his own transphobia and, being a problematic hetero black man. But I don't know. I think he regrets publicly supporting him, but I bet you he still supports him behind closed doors.
Behind the closed doors, but like coming out and saying, "Oh, you're going to vote for Kanye over? Are you going to vote for Biden? Why don't you give
Kanye a chance?" Like turning into that whole black white thing. Which, to be fair, a lot of times it is black white. Like, why don't you give that black person a chance? But girl, this wasn't that time.
Yeah, but what I will say though, like Kanye ended up in that tirade, he ended up going off on a young black woman named Aisha, who then, because she asked a question about gun reform, and then in his
response, this at the conference? Was this the one that he kicked out?
This was at the rally, yeah, where he tried to kick her out.
I know he kicked out some people.
He actually ended up walking off the stage, so he didn't even get a chance to kick her out. Oh. But he was the one, he castigated her for having her mask on too. But
really, I missed that.
But so she asked a question about gun control, and then he proceeded to answer, but was just saying all these false things, and she corrected him on those statements one by one, and so he got mad at her, and he called her a sister soldier, and then that she wanted Wakanda, not America. Okay, and then before proceeding to talk badly about black women. So yeah, he talked badly about black women during that tirade at some point, and so. Basically, what this Twitter post reminded me, not to confuse Kanye's mental illness with his anti-blackness and misogyny. Like those, he regardless
or even
of his
also his
illness,
capitalist, also his like still desire for white capitalist acceptance, like that idea that like, oh, I'm only going to work with Adidas if they put me on the board. Like he's not looking for y'all by saying that, for the community by saying, oh, I want to get on Adidas's board.
Exactly.
He's looking out for himself.
It's not. Yeah, he's looking out for himself, and so. Yeah, I just think like we have to like not conflate his mental illness with his anti-blackness and misogyny. Like he's still an asshole. Like regardless of whether he's having a mental breakdown or not, he still has anti-black pathologies. He still has misogynist pathologies, and fuck that girl. Like fuck her.
And I know that there's like a place where you can tie in like where Kim Kardashian fits into that, both in some ways being that embodiment of like here's him turning away from black women, but also like. You can't blame Miss Kim on everything. You can't blame everything on her. Like Kanye was dealing with shit like this before he even met Kim. Like he was showing temper tantrums. He was having mental episodes. The loss of his mom really hit him hard. But it seems even beyond that, like he's not in a good place. So I don't know. Girl.
I will say that too. And then he ended up going in on her on Twitter where he said the movie Get Out was about me. Everybody knows that the movie Get Out was about me. He erased that tweet later on, and then he went off.
That's also when he tweeted about how he had wanted to abort his baby, right? Did he get rid of that tweet too? Because I think there was a tweet as well.
There was a tweet about like he might lose his wife for talking about that, so he didn't mention. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there was another tweet where he goes in about my kids, the West kids will never be in Playboy. Because, his wife posed in Playboy in 2007, so he was going off. He was like basically like on a misogynist tee, and then he actually went after his mother-in-law, Kris Jenner, because Kris Jenner, during the episode of The Kardashians where Kim is posing for Playboy, she's in there taking pictures with her phone, and she's like, "You're doing amazing, sweetie. You're doing amazing, sweetie." That's where that meme comes from, that video meme. But he was like, yeah, like he went off on Kris Jenner on Twitter too about like letting or encouraging her daughter to pose for Playboy. So all in some misogynistic type tea. Like he just,
What do you think he needs, girl? Because it also seems so. Like I was watching that rally / conference, and you're also just seeing people just like people are laughing at him, but also there are people there who are like there to support him. I think there was this one moment that was caught when he said the Harriet Tubman statement. That was when like somebody was like, "All right, it's time to go. We got to go now."
yeah.
Bitch, pack up. That's it. We lost. We were with him for a minute.
But we got to think there's a lot of white people there too, and they're listening to that.
Did you? I didn't see.
There's quite a few white people there. Yeah, and they're listening to that.
White people love their black rappers.
And the problem is like, okay, they're listening to a black figure say something like that. So like, even if they're not super well versed in, African American history, like they might actually take that to heart. They might take something like that to heart.
But I think it's fair to say a lot of some of those black girls are kind of messed up. Like, because I was having this moment where, here's my tangent, where I was looking at Jaden Smith, because he recently became legal and I wanted to become my future husband. And that girl, I need her to, mature a bit, because that girl believes in chemtrails. That girl believes in she believes in Illuminati. I'm like, bitch, if anyone is close to the Illuminati, it'd be your fucking family. Like, what are you talking about? But and that girl is super popular, headlining Coachella. White people love him, just like Tyler, the Creator. And I just think it isn't just a Kanye problem in terms of that, in terms of like, what are white people taking, especially if they follow, are really fans of certain types of black rap, which a lot of times these girls, some of them got it together. I can't name any off the top of my head, other than Jay-Z, I guess. But also, she's not. I don't know, because some of those girls believe in flat Earth, like, because I think what's his face? Who was that one rapper who believes in flat Earth? But I can't think of many of those girls.
There's an athlete, I think, who's really into flat Earth too.
Yeah.
But most of those girls are not really educated girls. Like, we have to just keep it real. Like, not that being a college girl is the end all of knowledge, but like, those girls are undereducated or underinformed, I should say, underinformed.
But I also just think, I think about like Miss Cardi B, like, and that's in that moment when it's like black women just do better. Because I just think about, I don't think Cardi B is the most educated, but she listens, she learns. It seems like she doesn't just try and assume shit, and maybe that's just the difference, right? Is that she seems to, I don't know if it's like people just come in her orbit, or she just goes out of her orbit to learn things and to engage, but I don't know. I don't think it's always that college tea, but I think there's something about, as we talked about, sometimes hetero black men, they disappoint. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do know a lot of people who didn't go to college, but who just read a lot, but read reliable sources. Like, that's the important part, not read just some random shit online, like some conspiracy tea or anything like that. Like, they read like actual books and like newspapers, and that, like, some of the most like well-read people I know weren't college graduates. So you're right. I think Miss Cardi B, she stays well-informed on issues like around progressive politics and Bernie, but yeah, girl, it isn't completely tied or correlated with education. You're right. Yeah. You're
right. But mental health is real tea. I don't know if do we want to talk about Miss Tamar? Or
just
quickly,
you can quickly mention her, please.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but it seems like she almost tried to commit suicide. And her boyfriend current boyfriend, like, called 911 to get her help. She was unconscious when they arrived, took her to the hospital. Thankfully, she's currently stabilized, has been moved to a facility. But, I was worried about her ever since she cut all her. Anytime someone cuts their hair short, because even look at Kanye, the way, I don't even know what, are there letters? Like, what is his hair?
It was 2020 was shaved into his head. Yeah,
okay, see, that bald head, like, that's when you got to worry, especially for black people, because, for any non-black listeners, hair is like, so it's like black people. It's like, so like, there's certain things that are part of blackness. Hair is a big thing. So people just cut off their hair nilly-willy. It's time to watch. So Miss Tamar, she had been cutting that hair. I mean, there was the episode with The Real, although she had a new TV show that she was doing with, was that Wendy's wig stylist or hair stylist?
Oh, was it she like had, on a reality show, or what kind of show was it?
You didn't know about this? I thought you were more of a Tamar girl. If you're not really a Tamar girl,
I'm not a huge Tamar girl. But I think she's very talented vocally. Like when she released that album a few years ago.
I mean, she's no Toni Braxton, but
I would counter that, because
we're gonna move on then.
She's a soprano and she can hit those high notes like on some old school Mimi, like Mariah type teas. Like, Tamar can really hit some notes, like, because Tony is a deep alto, so like,
and I think I just love that.
You can't compare them. I think Tony definitely has a beautiful and amazing voice, but like, Tamar can blow though. She can blow. I don't want to sleep on her. Like, vocally, she's very talented.
But we're gonna keep it's too early for thoughts and prayers. We're gonna keep Miss Tamar in our prayers. But I think we can. We already talked about Kanye longer than I wanted, but I think we can definitely move on from that and do our last. God, it's just been a bad news kind of week. Well, good news, I would say. This is bad news for someone else. It's Fox News tea.
Yeah.
Well, there was potential, some really horrible things involved, especially to these women who, they're white women, and they're Fox kind of white women, so they're probably kind of shitty in their own way.
Yeah, they're probably shitty victims. But all victims aren't going to be perfect.
But
right?
Victims are victims. So.
Victims are victims, and victims are human, right? So I think, a former female producer at Fox News named Jennifer Eckhart, and another woman who appeared frequently as an on-air commentator named Kathy Aru have filed a civil lawsuit Monday accusing former longtime anchor Ed Henry of rape, sexual misconduct, and harassment. Also, prominent Fox News commentators Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, and Howard Kurtz are named as defendants in this lawsuit and are accused of sexual misconduct. Right?
Yeah, with another woman that she's filing the lawsuit with.
Yeah, so. Kathy Aru is the one who implicated these other three men in her lawsuit. And so Fox News issued a statement on behalf of Hannity, Carlson, and Kurtz calling the claims in the suit false, patently frivolous, and utterly devoid of any merit. However, Ed Henry was fired on July 1st of this year for willful sexual misconduct. So I don't know if it's tied to this case or other cases, but Miss Ed Henry, she's a messy girl because in 2016, she was demoted by the network from her job as White House correspondent and took a leave of absence following allegations of an extramarital affair with the Las Vegas hostess and stripper. In 2016. But however, of course, like any white man with privilege, he was able to return to his Fox News job later that year, taking a position as a chief national correspondent. And
but someone did say, like, hey, if you're bringing him back, this idea of trying to clean up Miss Fox News, she's going out the window. So
yeah, and then on top of that, he was later added as a co-anchor on Fox and Friends weekend. So that was some tea. But we obviously know Fox News in recent years has been hit by a number of allegations, or of sexual misconduct, which forced the ouster of Roger Ailes, the chairman of the network, along with Bill O'Reilly, one of their biggest hosts at the time.
But now has a podcast. See, everyone's podcasting.
So cancel culture isn't real, is it, girl? It's really not, is it? We're gonna have an episode on that at some point. But, so obviously, and then now, Ed Henry was fired on July 1st for sexual misconduct. So Jennifer Eckhart, she has multiple allegations against Ed Henry, including forced oral sex and rape, and allegations that he could, forced oral sex is rape, obviously, and then allegations that he could, he told her he could advance her career at Fox in exchange for sex. So she even has a sex trafficking charge in there, allegedly, right? Kathy Aru has actually has a case against Ed Henry too for sending her multiple sexual images and text messages as a form of harassment. And then she actually sued Sean Hannity for throwing $100 bill at her on set in a mock dating auction where he told the men on set, "Oh, someone take her out to drink. She's, good looking. And he threw $100 bill at her in like some demeaning or degrading manner.
Sounds like Sean.
Yeah, it sure does. And you know what? And she was propositioned, but this is even worse. She was propositioned by both Howard Kurtz and Tucker Carlson for sex in her lawsuit. Those are her allegations. And
it's important to remember that Tucker Carlson is married with kids.
With kids, right? And so so basically she said, like, after she denied like them sex, like she said, "No, I'm not going to sleep with you," that they retaliated against her with fewer appearances on their shows, right? So basically that's classic sexual harassment, like retaliation for not, giving in to sexual advances. That's like a classic definition of sexual harassment. But all this is alleged, of course.
So what do you think, girl? Does this have, as it is alleged, do you think this has any teeth?
Girl, I just think it feeds into that that toxic culture that Fox News, that, a lot of those white women who work there have talked about. And, I
wonder how Miss Laura Ingram's been surviving.
I think because she's like top on-air talent, and then she came in after, I mean, she was a frequent commentator, I think, before when Roger Ailes was there, but she really came in and got her own show in the 10 o'clock hour after Roger Ailes was gone. So I bet you she's been okay. But we'll never know. Unless she ends up coming out with something later on. She's not a victim. She doesn't want to be like perceived as a victim type of girl. She wants to be like that hard ass, hard ass girl.
But this is definitely something to watch. And I also just thought it was interesting that Mr. Ed Henry is, at the story I read for NPR, he's married to a chief NPR correspondent. So just that kind of reminder that while it might seem like, oh, the media is like right versus left, like, it's not always like that. I think there's sometimes more on the same page than it appears. Because I'm like, if you're going to be sleeping with someone like that, like, I don't know about your politics. And as we see, he's kind of garbage. So
yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah, kind of.
So I think that's our good news and bad, well, mostly bad news, but for the week. And I think we can get into our listener mail. So we have like one little email. You can send questions, comments, stories to Ask Them, ASKTHEM at twosavequeens.com. And you can leave us a message at 323-438-2827. So this email is from Mel. It relates back to our, Will and Jada conversation that we had last week about August Alsina. Is that how you say his last name?
I think so.
And just, she was kind of wondering, she doesn't feel like people are talking enough about the idea of, Jada being a woman 20-something years older than August, who at the time was in his early 20s, and how at that time, August very much was in his own, as we see, mental health in the Black community, his own kind of mental health situation, and not in a great place. And how do you think she in some ways took advantage of the situation by, yes, at first helping him, but then to go on to have a relationship with him?
And mind you, too, August was friends with Jaden, who we were just talking about. They were friends. Yeah, he's
no wonder Jaden had to move outside that house in what's it called?
Calabasas.
Or well, no, emancipate himself. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. So yeah, Jaden is 22 now, girl. He's like,
I know. She's almost ready for me. So.
yeah. But anyway, I think it was predatory. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I know I've seen a lot of posts. One of my friends who's, a victim of sexual harassment, actually, oddly enough, after we're talking about Fox News, she's actually been on Fox News talking about sexual harassment. This female friend of mine, Blackfish too. And she posts about this all the time. She feels like it was so predatory of Jada because there was like this power differentiation or differential, and just knowing that the place that he was in too, like mentally and whatnot. Because if he were in a better place mentally, I feel like she doesn't think it would be, even with the age gap, he was still a consenting adult. So I feel like the combination of the age differential and the mental health issues on August's part, to me, it was semi-predatory, and I feel like that's something that she actually should own and apologize for, even though she may never do that, even at her red table. And
I was kind of surprised that she didn't. I'm not gonna lie. Because I think that is a piece. For as much as I mean, I have to own that. I just own myself. I called him petty and messy for doing it. I think there was a bit of that. I think some of that also still comes from a place of hurt and pain for why he acted the way he did and brought up their past. Like for her to be, this man put out a whole song called Entanglement featuring Rick Ross. So I think for him to do all that, he's not recovered from what their relationship or how he felt she treated him. So,
but I will say I still think he's a petty, messy queen. Not, and the reason I say this,
so I'm gonna say I still think she's petty.
Well, because she went off on Keke Palmer for no reason on Twitter, like for Keke Palmer saying, "Oh no, we were friends, we never dated," and then he tried to be like, "Oh, we never dated, but you wanted me," and blah blah blah. He was like, I hate messy straight men. So,
but that's still, I feel like that's still yes, but I feel like that comes from that place that I like. You're not in a good place, like you just attacking, and I think that's why I love that Keke was like, I'm a bad bitch. I'm gonna be the better person. I'm gonna be the bigger person, and I'm gonna keep it moving from my
she
pool
is
side.
A bad bitch. She's beautiful. I love Miss Keke. I do. I love her. I do.
But I do think you're right, and I think part because I think Mel, who wrote in, was saying that like it feels like people aren't talking about it, and obviously there are some people, but I think it's that dynamic that people, especially in the Black community, they don't see Black women as potentially being abusers or violators or there's been talk about like rappers wanting to like have their like underage sons have sex with sex workers, and doing things like that to like make them become a man. Like there's just not that same idea of like, oh, that there actually is a power difference. There is something there where she did take, advantage of him. But there's this thought that like, oh no, a woman can't really take advantage of a man. Like I'm sure he wanted it. Like, I don't think that's right. But I think that's why there's not enough of that conversation. But I agree with you. I think Jada should apologize for that piece. And I think that red table moment was that time to do it. And that she didn't kind of makes me look a little side-eye at her. No lie.
Yeah. And I mean, we have to be reminded that while it was unethical, it wasn't illegal what she did. So
that's true. But morals are morals.
Morals are morals. Yeah, for sure.
But thank you for that, Miss Mel. I know who you are, so thank you, girl. So again, ask them at twosafequeens.com.
Oh, that was so melodic, girl.
Ooh, girl,
you always
wait
put
for that
together
album.
You put together a cute melody with some words. You do it all the time, girl.
Oh man, we gotta make sure we record our Both Sides Girl song for the fall. Both sides, yes. Girl. Both sides.
Both sides, girl.
Girl,
yeah,
both sides. So that's our show. Follow us on social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Two Saved Queens. Don't forget to rate us, review us on your preferred platform of your choice. It helps get the podcast in front of more people. I hope y'all stay safe, healthy, and saved. And if y'all get into some good trouble, make it out of it. With that, Ms. Terrell, do you have a final word for the children?
Yeah, girls, keep that fentanyl-laced cocaine out your nose, though.
Who is doing that right now?
I'm just saying, all those drugs, they're laced with fentanyl out of China, the Chinese fentanyl. Stop doing drugs. Stop doing all the meth, cocaine. Stop doing it, girls.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye.